I'd like to call the Community Facilities District meeting to order for June 24th, 2024. This is a joint meeting in the following Community Facilities Districts. Community Facilities Districts General District Number 1, Palm Valley Community Facilities District Number 3, Community Facilities District Utilities District Number 1, Wildflower Ranch Community Facilities District, Wildflower Ranch Community Facilities District Number 2, Estrella Mountain Ranch Community Facilities District, King Ranch Community Facilities District, Centerra Community Facilities District, Cortina Community Facilities District. Go read the roll call. Can I get a motion and a second to excuse Councilmember Stipp?
So moved. Second.
Got a motion, second. Go ahead and open the voting. Vote 6-0. Thank you. Now's the time for citizens who would like to address the CFD board on any non-agenda items within the jurisdiction of the board. Any speaker cards, clerk?
No, Chair.
Thank you very much. The board will listen to, that we don't need. District clerk, please read the consent agenda items 1 through 11 by title only.
Number 1, approval of minutes. Number 2 through 11, adopt resolutions CFGD number 1, resolution 2024-200, PVC FD number 3, resolution 2024-076, CFUD number 1, resolution 2024-127, WFR CFD resolution 2024-090, WFR CFD number 2, resolution 2024-085, Cotton Flower CFD resolution 2024-082, EMR CFD resolution 2024-164, KRCFD resolution 2024-057, Centerra CFD resolution 2024-084, Cortina CFD Resolution 2024-077, levying upon the assessed valuation of the property within the district subject to ad valorem taxation a certain sum upon each $100 of assessed valuation, sufficient to raise the amounts estimated to be required in the annual budget, all for the fiscal year ending the 30th day of June 2025.
Thank you. Does anyone on the board wish to remove an item from the consent? Seeing none, can you go ahead? We got a motion and a second? Got a motion and a second on the board. Go ahead and open the voting. Passes 6-0. There being no further business to discuss, this meeting is adjourned. We move right into the video for our City Council regular meeting.
Welcome to the Goodyear City Council meeting. We're excited to have you be a part of this important public process. Tonight, you will have the opportunity to address City Council on both non-agenda and agenda items. You must fill out a speaker request card in order to address the City Council. The agendas and speaker request cards are located in the back of the council chambers. Please drop your completed card in the tray next to the blank speaker cards. If the meeting has already begun, please hand it to the city employee at the back of the room. You may check the "I do not wish to speak" option on the card. This allows you to let council know your opinion without having to speak. In accordance with the Americans with Disabilities Act, please contact a staff member if you need any assistance. Public comment on a non-agenda item will take place during the citizen comment portion of the evening. These are items that don't appear on tonight's formal agenda. The city clerk will call your name when it's time for you to speak. At that time, please approach the podium and tell us your name for the record. You'll have a maximum of 3 minutes. The timer is on the screens visible from the podium. Note that you may also choose not to speak if other speakers before you have said what you wanted to say. Shouting, cheering, and loud noises will not be tolerated, and violators may be removed for disrupting the meeting. Goodyear City Council meetings stream live on Facebook, YouTube, X, and online at goodyearaz.gov. Follow the city's social media pages so you don't miss out on all that's happening in Goodyear. Thank you for coming to this meeting and being an active part of your city. And remember, it's a great time to be in Goodyear.
I'd like to call the regular meeting to order for June 24th, 2024. Please mark everybody who's present. We've got one not here. Can I get a motion and a second to please excuse Councilmember Stipp? I got a motion and a second. Go ahead and open voting. Passes 6-0. Now, would you please join Councilmember Hampton in the Pledge of Allegiance and invocation? Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lord, I just thank you for the day and your holy name. I just thank you for having a great city that we can live in and work in and play in, Lord. I just thank you, Lord, for our public safety and our military. Please be with them as they are serving us, Lord. I just pray for, please give us wisdom, the council, as we're making decisions that affect all of our citizens here, Lord. I just thank you for staff, and I just thank you for just blessing our city. Thank you for the public process and our residents. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Thank you there. We have one communication item tonight. I'd like to call the Intergovernmental Relations Manager, Gina Carrico, forward, as well as Representative Sandoval, for a legislative proclamation honoring retired Goodyear Police Chief Santiago, and better known as Jimmy Rodriguez.
Awesome. Thank you, Mayor and Council. We'll step away a little bit. You did a fantastic job introducing this item, so I'll just say Representative Sandoval from LD 23 here tonight had originally planned to present this special legislative proclamation on the House floor, so we are incredibly grateful for her presence here at Council tonight to present this honor. Once it's read and presented, we'll have all of you come down and do a photo opportunity, and I will pass the mic.
Thank you, Jenna. Thank you, Mayor and Council. Thank you for allowing me the pleasure of presenting here. Since we had to reschedule a couple times, I told Chief he's more busy than the president. Oh, where is Chief? Is he coming up here?
Right behind you.
I think you should be here. So I'm going to read this proclamation that we wrote back in April, I think. So here goes. The State of Arizona Legislative Proclamation in recognition of Chief Santiago Rodriguez, whereas Santiago Rodriguez has retired on February 20th, 2024, after 26 years of service to the Goodyear Police Department, with 4 of those years as Goodyear's Chief of Police. And whereas during his 26 years of service in Goodyear, he served in nearly every position within the department. From 2006 to 2019, he served as police sergeant over patrol, traffic, criminal investigations, community services, and the school resource office program, which is where I met him. He spent 6 years in the patrol and the traffic unit. He has served as deputy chief of police over the Enforcement Bureau, and also collectively served as lieutenant over Community Services Division, patrol, traffic, and K-9 units. And whereas Chief Rodriguez served as vice president of the Association of Chiefs of Police in 2023, while concurrently serving as vice president of the West Valley Chiefs of Police, he graduated from the prestigious FBI National Academy in Quantico, Virginia in March of 2014. He also served on the FBI National Academy Arizona Board as president in 2021, vice president in 2020, and second vice president in 2018 and 2019. And whereas a native Arizonan, Santiago Rodriguez was raised in the West Valley and graduated from Apollo High School in Glendale, Arizona, he has been married to his beautiful and supportive wife, Melissa, for 28 years. They are the proud parents of 2 adult children, Jacob, 24, and McKenna, 22. And whereas therefore be it resolved by the House of Representatives concurring that the members of this legislature express their gratitude for Chief Rodriguez's 26 years of humble and dedicated public servantry. He has provided the city of Goodyear, its residents, and the state of Arizona exceptional service and a sense of security. We congratulate him on his well-deserved retirement and wish him prosperity, good health, and quality family in his retirement. Therefore, I, Representative Mariana Sandoval, invite, well, we're not at the Arizona House of Representatives, so I invite you, Council, and members to join me in recognizing Chief Rodriguez's accomplishments as an esteemed public servant to the state of Arizona. Congratulations.
where does one begin? I'll keep it quick because I know you have a meeting. But I want to say thank you, Mariana, and thank you to the House of Representatives for recognizing me. But I also know that this wouldn't be possible without the officers here at Goodyear. The men and women of Goodyear PD do everything every day. And so this is to you for making me look good and supporting me, but really the true work is done by the line level officers, the men and women that are out there, our dispatchers that are answering that call that's coming in for help. So I appreciate it, and much love to the Goodyear Police Department.
And I forgot, this has been flown over the Capitol, certified by Secretary of State Adrian Fontes, so this is also for you.
Don't go
All this
anywhere
love.
yet, Jimmy, stay there. Anybody like to say something? Go ahead.
Sure this is on?
Yes, it's on.
Thank you very much, Chief, for all your service to the citizens and making Goodyear a safer and better place to work, play, and live. And we appreciate everything and all the time and all the hours you spent away from your family to do that and to serve your community. And we wish you the best. You're retired, but not retired, so we wish you the best in the semi-retirement and everything you do. So thank you from the bottom of our hearts.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor?
Well, first, I wanted to thank Representative Sandoval for your persistence in doing this. And although it would have been an amazing experience to do it at the legislature, it seems right and fitting to do it here in Goodyear. So thank you for your work to get this done. And Chief Rodriguez, I met you when I went to the Police Citizens Academy. You were a lieutenant back then, and just to watch your career go. But nobody has a bigger heart for Goodyear than you do. And thank you. And as they say, well done, good and faithful servant.
Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Councilmember Campbell and Gillis?
Thank you very much. This picture is when I met Jimmy. Close enough, but he was in uniform, and he went somewhere and left his bicycle out front, well, his motorcycle.
Bicycle?
Sorry. And I think at that time I was a VIPS. I was a volunteer in police service, long time ago. Gosh, I think it was probably in 2005 or 6 or 7. I don't even remember when.
4 or 5, yeah.
And I had never sat on a motorcycle before, so one of the officers said I could do it. So I got on it, and he comes out, and there I'm sitting on his motorcycle. And it was he was very kind to me, and he didn't fuss, but I think he thought I was going to steal it.
Where's Buddy at?
Yeah. Where's Buddy? Yeah. But really, Jimmy, you have been such an inspiration to all of Goodyear. You came up from the ranks. You started at the bottom and came all the way to the top. And for that, we were so grateful because you know Goodyear inside and out. You know the residents. You know our HOAs. You know our schools. You know our kids. And we miss you terribly. But we wish you the very, very best. And we thank you for all your years of service to us. And I know there were many times when you were out doing your police work while your family was home, taking care of your sweet wife, taking care of the kids and doing what you needed to do. But we appreciate you and your family so much, and we just thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
If you missed the motorcycle, I got one for you there. Go ahead, Councilman Gillis.
I agree with my peers, and Jimmy, I'm the new one up here, not anymore, but I was not anymore. But you were very kind to me in the beginning, and the one thing that I've noticed throughout the last 2 years is I haven't heard anybody, and that includes us up here, that people like as much as they like you. Everybody likes you. No matter what, everybody likes you. And I just want to say thank you for everything you've done for this police department, because we have the best police department around. I say that all the time. You know that. I've said it to you. And so I like you too. So thanks for your service, Jimmy.
Thanks, Vicki. I appreciate it.
Councilmember Hanton?
Not much more to say, but yeah, thank you for your 26 years of service. Thank you for the recognition from the state as well. That's always appreciated also. So thank you for your years of service and what you've done for the city, and your legacy will continue on. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, Jimmy, we go way, way back. The only thing we're missing, remember, we were supposed to do a ride. We never got that bike ride together. So if your wife will let you get on that bike, come look me up and we'll take our ride.
As long as we don't get on the freeway.
Well, no.
It's crazy up there.
I don't-
Unless
I
it
don't
says
blame-
police,
Yeah, I don't blame you there. I know some back roads where we can avoid all of that. So.
maybe someday though,
Okay.
definitely. Thanks,
And
Mayor.
again, have a great vacation. I mean, well, you're working, so you ain't having a vacation. But
No.
again, I want to thank you for everything you've done, Jimmy.
No, but I can tell you that I work the West Valley, and I'm working with our line level staff that's out there every day, both PD and fire. And I've talked to Paul a couple of times, and probably work with our Goodyear Fire more than anything, especially with their hazmat, because it travels to different locations. And we have the best public safety. We do. And not that the other ones are not good, but everywhere I go, when they know that I'm from Goodyear and that I served here in public safety, I hear it. You guys have the best people out there. So-and-so is awesome. So-and-so does this. So I'm hearing it even from the other public safety members out there, both on PD and fire. And so know that we have a great public safety, and they would do anything for anybody. So
That's
with
nice
that,
to hear. Thank you, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Any picture? All of us? We're all going to go down. We're all going to go down, take a picture.
Come around, we're just going around the seal up here as the center point. Looking slim.
I'd like to see you and Jeff and Jimmy, the three musketeers, on your bikes.
Three amigos.
Yeah. All right, let's see. Now's the time for citizens who would like to address the city council on any non-agenda items within the jurisdiction of the city of Goodyear. Do we have any cards?
No, Mayor.
Thank you. All right, will the city clerk please read the consent agenda items 2 through 17 by title only?
Number 2, approval of minutes. Number 3, adopt ordinance number 2024-1611, amending Chapter 3, Article 9, Public and Performing Arts Program of the Goodyear City Code, providing for correction, severability, and an effective date. Number 4, adopt resolution number 2024-2418, creating policy 1100, retiree health care, as an amendment to the City of Goodyear Policy and Administrative Guidelines Manual of 2/1 of 2004. Number 5, adopt resolution number 2024-2416, supporting the submission of a 2024 Auction Indian Community Grant application by Solid Rock Foundation, and authorizing the city manager to accept and administer subsequent awarded funds and any amendments thereto as a pass-through grant. Number 6, approve the grant of an aerial utility line easement to APS over a portion of the city-owned property at the northwest corner of Van Buren Street and 143rd Avenue. Number 7, accept the dedication of the right-of-way along North Civic Square from Globe Land Investors LLC, approve the partial termination and release of easement, and authorize the execution of both documents by the city manager. Number 8, adopt resolution number 2024-2414, declaring sections of 175th Avenue and Elwood Street unnecessary for the public roadway and extinguishing the right-of-way easement, granting the city the unnecessary public roadway, providing for the recordation of this resolution, and providing for effective dates of the easement extinguishment and the resolution. Adopt resolution number 2024-2415, declaring sections of 175th Avenue and Elwood Street unnecessary for public roadway and vacating the roadway, providing for the recordation of this resolution, and providing for effective dates of the abandonment and the resolution. Number 9, adopt resolution number 2024-2411, approving agreements related to the city's acquisition of right-of-way from ADOT, providing conditions for the execution of the agreements, providing authorization, direction, and an effective date. Number 10, conditionally approve the map of dedication of West Mountain Vista Drive, Phase 2, subject to stipulations. Number 11, conditionally approve the map of dedication of West Calistoga Drive, Phase 4, subject to stipulations. Number 12, conditionally approve the final plat of Montecito parcels 9.39 and 9.40, subject to stipulations. Number 13, conditionally approve the final plat of Montecito parcel 9.41, subject to stipulations. Number 14, conditionally approve the final plat of Montecito parcel 9.42, subject to stipulations. Number 15, conditionally approve the final plat for Estrella parcel 9.18, subject to stipulations. Number 16, conditionally approve the final plat for Estrella parcel 9.21, subject to stipulations. And number 17, conditionally approve the final plat for Estrella parcel 9.7, subject to stipulations.
Wow, fantastic there, City Clerk. Woo! Does anybody on City Council wish to remove an item from the consent?
Yes, Mayor.
Go ahead.
I have a question on number 3, number 9, 10, 11,
Whoa.
12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. And I think each person can answer just one question at a time and we'll be fine. So on number 3,
All right, who do we have for 3?
the city clerk, I guess. I read the ordinance, and I don't see in the ordinance that you're taking out the word West Valley.
Hold on, somebody's,
Executive Director.
hold on there, Wally, somebody's coming up.
Actually, Parks and Recreation is here.
Do you have
for
the
item.
ordinance?
I don't have the document.
I'll pull it up.
With me. It's actually, I think, Rourke has it on
That's okay.
his
I'll
table.
pull it up.
So,
So I just don't see it in there, so am I missing it? Am I not reading it correctly? Or are we just blanket saying it's okay to change whatever we need to change whenever we need to change it? Because I thought that's why we were bringing this Article 3.9 back in front of us.
Councilmember, is the question whether the West Valley Arts has been struck as a required member of the?
Yes,
Yes, it has.
yes, and there's no reference in this new ordinance to that at all.
Correct. It's, you have the strike through in the red line.
Just
It's
that.
striking that out.
Okay,
yeah.
that's all I needed to know, thank you. Okay, so that's why I'm saying I think it's really simple, and I apologize, I was ill all last week, and I didn't feel like doing all this stuff. Okay, so for number 9, the acquisition of the right-of-way for Liberty Centerville Improvement, Kimberly Romero, Real Estate Coordinator. Is this the Liberty ask?
Good evening. Yes, the question is, this is for
Get
Liberty.
it closer
Water-
to the mic there.
This is for the Liberty Water Reclamation Facility. It's on Saraville and McDowell.
Okay,
for that
I do
connection.
not feel comfortable giving Liberty an open-ended approval to do anything anymore after what they did on our McDowell Road. I wanted to see a start date and an end date with whatever they're going to be doing down Saraville, so this does not extend another year or 2 or 3, depending on how long it takes them to do whatever they're doing. And that's my concern. I'm not prepared to vote on that unless
Okay.
we do put a date that they start and a date that they finish.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
You want to pull this item?
Yeah, I want to pull it, please.
Okay,
All right, so
number
we're gonna
9.
Pull it
Thank you.
separately.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. And then the other questions, I think Marty can answer all of these because they're just conditionally approving the final plats up in the Estrella area. We've never done this blanket before that I can remember in the 12 years I've been on council. So what is the purpose of us doing this? Are we just doing a placeholder for the folks that now are in charge of Estrella until they find a builder to build on these certain lots? Or are we going to see these again?
Thank you, Councilmember Campbell. I'm not sure I understand the question. The applicant, Andrew Yancey, is here too, who might be able to help. It is typical for the way Estrella develops that they typically record a final plat, then transfer it to the home builder.
I just don't remember us ever doing this many in one swoop. Like we're trying to finish that whole section, and we've been working on this section for years.
Thank you. Great question. The infrastructure and access all these parcels are interdependent on each other, so they
Right.
all needed to come together to
Okay.
you for action.
And they're going to connect to the ones that are already approved and already built, so they're not really re-doing anything. They're just getting approval for these final plats.
Correct.
Okay, then I'm fine with it, Katie, thanks. That's all I needed to know.
You good?
I'm good.
All right, so we're going to pull 9. So can I get a motion on the consent for, what is it, 2 through 8? Is that right? And then 10 through 17? All right, I got a motion and a second up on the board. For the further discussion, go ahead and open voting. Passes 6-0. Now, can I get a motion and a second to adopt resolution number 2024-24-2411, approving agreements related to the city acquisition of right-of-way from ADOT, providing conditions for the execution of the agreements, providing authorization and direction and effective date? Get a motion and a second? I see a motion on the board and a second. Go ahead and open for voting. Passes 5-1. Thank you. All right, with that, let's see what we got.
You're not going to hold?
We have, what's that?
Never mind.
We have one public hearing on the agenda tonight. This is a public hearing to consider a special use permit for West Valley Christian School expansion. Open public hearing.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Katie Wilkin, Development Services Director. As you said, before you tonight is a special use permit for a private school. The site is located generally northeast of Van Buren Street and Saraville Avenue. It's approximately 16 and a half acres, and it's currently zoned a mix of AU and CO commercial office. It's surrounded by the Roosevelt Irrigation District and other church and daycare uses to the north. To the south is Van Buren Street and single-family residential as part of Canyon Trails. To the east is Compass Church and single-family residential as part of the Wade Acres neighborhood. And to the west is also the Roosevelt Irrigation District and vacant property. Also, we do want to point out this property in orange. That is a single-family home, and we'll get into it in more detail. It is a little more unique than some of the other homes. It has access via an easement through the West Valley Christian School property to Van Buren Street. It does not have direct access to 161st Avenue. The property was annexed into the city in 1983, and at that time it was zoned AU. In 2002, plans were approved for St. Thomas Lutheran Church to build on the site. After that time, in 2007, the city approved a zoning ordinance text amendment that required public, parochial, and charter schools to get a special use permit. After that, then the state amended their laws and said that public charter schools did not follow city zoning ordinances, and public schools already don't follow city zoning ordinances. So now, because of the way the zoning ordinance is written today, only private schools, such as parochial schools, require a special use permit. Since this use was first established before the zoning ordinance text amendment, and then we made a change, this use is considered legal non-conforming. So it is absolutely allowed to operate. It's also, they're allowed to make minor changes that are associated with improving their property, but they can't expand the use. So you might have already noticed that there is some construction happening on site. That's some construction to the already existing parking lot to make improvements to the parking lot and the roadways. That's already permitted as part of just their normal improvements that are allowed. So I just want to straighten that out, that they haven't started construction on what you're considering tonight, which is an expansion of the school itself. So the property located on 161st and Van Buren is zoned commercial office. That's allowed to have 30-foot tall buildings and allows uses such as offices, drive-through banks, medical offices, and labs. And then the agricultural urban allows uses by right, such as single-family residences and non-commercial agricultural uses, and also allows up to 30 feet in building height. The proposal is to expand the classroom buildings, add a parking lot and driveway additions, and also have some outdoor storage containers, which is typical of school uses. You can see the proposed elevations here. As I said, they are allowed to build up to 30 feet in height. However, the proposed elevations are just under 18 feet at their tallest point. And to show you on this map, so this property here is that single-family home that I pointed in the other map. And then this highlight in green is where the addition is taking place in the construction. So it is adjacent to that. And as I said, they're adding classroom buildings and adding a parking lot. So you can see on this map, the yellow is the single-family residence that is existing, and the green is the area where they're proposing improvements. However, the site does include 4 parcels. They don't have current plans in for parcel 1, but it could be used in the future for fields or classroom expansion in the future. And then parcel 2 and 3 is currently used as a temporary parking lot. The site is accessed by one of 2 driveways. The driveway furthest to the west is a right-in, right-out, which accesses the parking lot. However, pickup and drop-off will take place via 161st Lane, which is, as I said, a private road. It is not a public street, and that is a full access movement. And parents will come up the street and then turn into the parking lot and make a circle, drop off their kids or pick up their kids, depending on what time of day it is, and then they're able to leave the site. There was a neighborhood meeting held for the proposal, and about 20 people were at the meeting, and many expressed concerns with the proposal. Most of those concerns centered around potential traffic impacts to the neighborhood and circulation. One thing I do want to note is council's probably already aware that this site is just down the street from the new apartments that have been built on Saraville and Van Buren, and there was a lot of construction going on in Van Buren Street, which caused a lot of traffic problems. That was going on during the school year, and the backup on that traffic was so bad, it was impacting the drop-off and pickup of the school. So we just got off this period of it being really difficult on both the neighborhood and the school with this construction that was taking place down the street. The good news is that construction is over, so we're hopeful that this school year will go a lot better, again, for both the school and the neighborhood. However, due to the concerns that were brought up by the residents, the school did propose some changes to try and address those concerns. So they are proposing adding a drive, which is stipulated in stipulation number 8, that they provide an access drive along here that will connect the already existing access drive to 161st Avenue. So what this will do was this will allow those single-family residents to turn out and connect to 161st Avenue without mingling with the pickup drop-off traffic, which is how it is today. So to show you on here, those residents can turn here where the circulation turns off just before, so they won't have to mix, so it makes it a better situation for the single-family homes. The plans we have in today, too, show a gate located here and here, and also along 161st Avenue, which will only be available for the residents to access, as well as city emergency services. There's also a wrought iron gate that will be provided on this green line, and that's also stipulated by stipulation number 7, that be provided. This item was brought before the Planning and Zoning Commission this month, and they recommended unanimous approval of the special use permit. Staff recommends approval of the special use permit subject to the stipulations provided to you. And that concludes my presentation, and I am happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any speaker cards?
No, Mayor.
Anybody like to speak at this time? Then I will go ahead and close the public hearing. Whoops. Good, got a hand up? Come on up.
Hi, thank you, Mayor, for letting me speak. I'm the single-family resident that is being affected by this, me and my family. And we proposed that a block wall be put up so we do not have to deal with the parents, because the parents cuss at us, they flip us off, they yell at us, when we're driving up and down our driveway. So we have asked for a block wall to be put there also, along the easement on 161st Lane, where our house, actually, that is our easement. So that's something that was not addressed, and I was waiting for them to address that, and they did not. So I would like for that to be talked about by the school.
Thank you.
Ma'am, can I get your name for the record, please?
Dolly Ortiz.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Should I go ahead and ask the applicant at this point, or go ahead and close it and
Close it and then.
then ask the applicant? I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing. Can I get a motion and a second to approve the request for the special use permit for a private school expansion on property zone agriculture urban AU and commercial office CO on approximately 16.45 acre property, approximately located in the northeast corner of Saraville, Van Buren, subject to stipulations? I see a motion and a second, so we'll open up for discussion. Who's up first? Go ahead, Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. I did watch this on planning and zoning, and there is a lot to this particular case concerning the 161st Lane and the 161st Avenue. I did drive the property today, and I drove up to the single-family residence and had an opportunity to talk to Mr. Ortiz. And then I had a meeting, a Teams meeting this afternoon with Katie to go over the issues that came up prominently in planning and zoning. And so, Katie, can we talk about it? So I didn't know whose road that was, the 161st Lane, and you explained that that was a private road, belongs to the church, is that correct?
The land provides to the church, and the single-family residents have an easement
They have
that
an
allows them access.
Okay, and that easement is legally recorded?
It's recorded, yes.
It's recorded, okay. And I understand also from the Ortizes that the church has been accommodating and moving the entrance to that parking lot down farther south away from their home rather than farther up, and then providing the alternate route to 161st Avenue, because I can only imagine what it would be like to try to get in and out of that road, that private road during pickup and drop off. So definitely appreciate that accommodation. But it is my understanding that that alternate route, and maybe we could bring up the picture of that alternate route. Okay. Yes, thank you. So that leads from their house. It turns off before they get to the parking area and allows the Ortizes access to get to 161st Lane, thereby avoiding all of that school traffic. And the interesting thing is, although this is required in order to get the special use permit for the church, the school, should that property sell, based on my conversation with Katie, if a charter school purchased it, then they would no longer be required to provide that easement. Can you clarify that?
Thank you. Public schools and public charter schools are not subject to the zoning ordinance, so they would not have to adhere to the special use permit. So if in the future a public school or public charter purchased the site, they wouldn't adhere to the stipulations. The stipulation is required right now that they build that road. It is not a requirement that it be a dedicated easement.
Okay. So by it not being a dedicated easement, there's the potential that the residents of that single-family house would lose access to that.
It is a potential.
There is that potential, okay. And I wanted to point out that the land where the Ortizes live, that is Goodyear. They are City of Goodyear residents. And I think that ensuring that they have sufficient access to get in and out of their property is really important. Now, another thing I wanted to talk about, Katie, was a traffic study. Was there a traffic study done, and what did you find?
Thank you. There was a traffic study provided. And with regards to queuing, the traffic study verified conformance with city regulations that queuing is not permitted to queue onto right-of-way. So queuing is not permitted to go on Van Buren Street. So if the queuing did start going onto Van Buren Street, that would be a violation of their traffic study and special use permit. But that showed that they have enough on-site stacking for 59 cars.
Oh, that's a lot. Well, I think those of us who live around schools have all experienced the significant traffic that comes with, and sometimes, even though it's not intended, that does back up into streets and even into intersections and can be problematic. But I guess it's helpful to know that there's 59. Now, the last thing I want to talk about with that access road, and you did mention gates. I know that parents who are dropping off kids and picking up kids, they're in a hurry, they got a lot on their mind. They're going to look for the easiest way to get in and out. And I know that easement is intended for the residents. What is in place then to prohibit the parents from using that to get in and out? Because if they use that to get to 161st Avenue, then they will be impacting Wade Acres and creating traffic there.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Stipulation 8, subsection D, does require that the access drive be reserved for ingress and egress by residents and guests of those residents, as well as emergency service vehicles between the hours of 6 a.m. and 4 p.m., Monday through Friday, which is the school hours of operation. So they are doing that by providing those 3 gates. Those gates are shown on the plans we have in place to review, but the gates are not spelled out in the stipulation specifically. But they are required to limit access to the single-family resident and emergency vehicles.
Okay. Well, based on the research that I did today, I can't support this without a stipulation to record the second easement for the benefit of the owners, whoever, the Ortizes live there now, but I mean for even future Goodyear residents that may live there, and also a stipulation to install the gate to keep the parents from accessing the easement in and out.
Okay. Good. All right. Councilmember Loretano?
Thank you very much, Katie. I think I got a couple questions for you, too. One of the things that struck me was, even with the gates, the whole traffic plan seems really close to the other property, to the house where they're going to be dropping off and picking up. It looks like traffic's going to continuously run. How far, your first one, you've got the little green arrows there. How far from that to the other, the house is that? And what separates that now?
Thank you. I think I need help from the applicant.
My name is Jerry Patton, Patton and Associates. We're the development manager and owner's rep for the school. So a little bit of history in all of this was the new parking lot on this parcel that was developed. We had previously a circulation that actually went up this road and then back into this lot. After the neighborhood meeting and the concerns expressed theirs by the Ortiz, we put a gate up here that's up in the very top corner that's only accessible by emergency access vehicles, okay? We have another gate down here at the bottom, so gate 2 of the 3 that were described, so parents cannot come up here. So as parents come in, this is the only, or the best, full circulation access movement down here in the bottom, so that is the primary access to the site. We removed any school traffic from coming up on this roadway. We took people into this lot, gave them a place to circulate, and there's additional drop-off lanes along this side, as well as parking, as well as the original drop-off that goes along this side.
Let me back you up a little. My question was, when you go to the top, those arrows there?
Yep.
That kind of go around?
This,
What is between that portion of the drop-off and the other individual's property?
right here,
Yeah, what separates those two?
that's roughly 50 or 60 feet.
And what is there now?
What is there now? Nothing. This was a ball field. So the current use, there's a chain link fence. Yeah. Yeah, there is a block wall on the north property line.
Okay, so
Okay?
that's,
So that's there visually.
okay, so where was the block wall that Ms. Ortiz was requesting?
I believe she's requesting it along the route of this new access drive. Okay? We did approach the planning department, and we were told by planning that a block wall was not acceptable on the use type that the school has. So they did stipulate not only wrought iron fence along 161st Avenue, but also along these 2 edges as well. So the Ortiz's preference was a block wall that's obscure. Planning had told us we needed to do wrought iron there. So the material type is not at issue with us, the applicant, but that's what we were advised could or would be done.
Okay, and Ms. Ortiz, is that where you wanted the block wall? If I could hear from Ms. Ortiz, if that'd be okay? I'm not quite sure where they wanted the block wall, so I'm trying to visualize.
Okay, so right now there's a block wall, 6-foot block wall along the south of our property. What we were wanting, and also there's a block wall all the way on the north side of this easement, 6-foot block wall. Okay, all along here. So what we were asking for is an addition to this block wall that separates the properties, extension of that block wall that goes from the corner of our driveway down to where this gate's going to be. Okay, right there. So that's about 125 feet, I believe. From here down here, that would completely separate us from the parking lot, because right now we have this block wall, and we just wanted this block wall on the west side of the easement going down to where the gate's going to be.
Okay, so it wasn't a request for 161 to be.
It was not here?
Okay.
No.
You're
There's
talking
already-
about here?
There's already a block wall there.
Yeah,
Okay.
on the north side.
On the north side.
So
Just-
you're not proposing one
No, no.
between
No, no.
that road and the school?
No.
And just to clarify here, are you talking about where the current chain link fence is?
Yes.
Okay,
Down to
because
where the
the,
gate's going to be.
because the east side of that is the back of 2 other residential lots
right,
that
just-
we're not in control of.
Just the west side.
Okay, so you're talking about from here to there,
Yes,
and the gate would intercept
Yes.
that wall somewhere?
yes.
Okay, so those 3 gates were here, here, and over here
Okay.
for their benefit.
I think that answers my question, so thank you very much. I think I agree with the vice mayor. We've got to make sure that that is enshrined, that easement is enshrined, that goes with, runs with the property, to make sure that it stays part of that, and that we have the access. I also think we have to make sure that the gates are in stipulation form as well. And I would also ask for a stipulation to add that block wall. I think that is very reasonable when you're adding that many more kids and you've got a space for more kids. You know, I did drop-offs for a long time with 2 kids. And I'll tell you what the school hopes is going to happen. And when you've got parents who need to get to work isn't always what happens. Anyone who drives by Great Hearts in the morning, they've got a great drop-off thing, but you still got parents dropping kids off here and there, letting them walk in. So I think that'll solve that problem, to have that, what they're asking for. I think it's very reasonable to keep people from jumping over into their property. If it's chain link, you can easily get over.
Right.
Like I said, I think there's a lot of positive here, and I'm glad that the parties came together, and the gates, I think, are positive. I just want to see those into the stipulations with the addition of the wall would be what I would need to see, so thank you.
Okay, I would like to add that there was conversation about an easement over this temporary road that runs east-west during the planning commission, and the conversation that was in that regard, at least planning commission opinion or decision at that time was similar to a previous conversation I had with planning staff as well as engineering staff, and that was that they didn't want to encumber the school with two different easements since there was one there. And so the way they characterized it, the fact that this was kind of put in as a convenience and an aid to the Ortizes or any future property owner, that they didn't feel compelled or that they had the power to exact another easement there. But what they did require was the access drive that shows in all the documents and that we're planning to deliver. So it's a bit of semantics there between the two.
I understand,
Yeah.
but for me anyway, to support it, that has to be enshrined. It has to be, an easement that will run with the property. Because you have a temporary easement, for me, that doesn't raise to the level of what I'd like to see, because if something happens to that first road, as the vice mayor pointed out, that is going to be a living nightmare to get. Like I said, I had 2 kids. That will be a living nightmare to leave their house either between 7 and 8 in the morning and about 3 to 4. If there's a ball game, if there's events, that's a hard no. I need that in there for my vote. So thank
Okay.
you. I think you've answered my question, so thank
I
you.
appreciate that, and I appreciate your concern. Let me tell you, the stipulation that requires this drive is very specific to the use permit. So there's no physical way for the school to take that away, whether it's Ortiz's owns it or someone else, or they lose their use permit. They're not going to do that, okay? So I think the letter of the stipulation was very specific that the planning department from the city also would have to approve that being removed. So I'm not suggesting that where you're headed is not appropriate. I'm just telling you, we thought we had dotted all the i's, crossed all the t's before we got here.
Thank you.
Okay?
Councilmember Gillis?
I agree with the vice mayor and Sherry. And Katie, I want to talk to you a little bit right now. I want to know can we do this? Can we do what he's talking about? Are we lacking on that? Do we need to give him the permission or whatever it is that he needs to do this?
Thank you.
He said we said no to it. So what's the scoop there?
So with regards to the block wall, I can't speak to every discussion we might have had. Staff, we do have a zoning regulation that when a wall is within, I believe it's 30 feet of another wall, we ask that wall one of the walls be wrought iron so that we're not creating an alley where trash or, safety could be a concern. So we can verify that they're further apart. I don't know if that is exactly the situation there. And then,
So
of
we
course,
need to look into that further, in other words.
we can look into
Because I'm a
that.
hard no also, if it's wrought iron.
And then it would be similar to, on public roads, there's a site visibility triangle. So when you're pulling up and you're going to turn, you can see, and we may have been concerned, even though there's not an actual site visibility triangle on these turns, we may have been thinking of, just about the visibility of the cars coming in and being able to see. But from what I was hearing just now, it's possible that it could be done in the location. So that is something staff can look at.
Okay, so, because here's my thing, is these are our Goodyear neighbors. So let's make sure that they're happy also. They are important, not just the school. So I want to make sure that they're getting what they need, because I'm with Sherry. We got to make sure that they can get in and out of their driveways, and they can do what they need to do, and that they don't have people flipping them off and doing whatever. I mean, people are going to do what they do, but if we can, make their living ability a little bit better, that would be nice. We don't need to add chaos to their day. We need to think about our people here in Goodyear. All right?
Thank you. And I do just want to end by saying that's a city regulation, so that's how staff enforces it, but
need
council
to
has
look
the
further
authority.
into it, that's my
Council
point.
has the authority to amend it.
Perfect, perfect. Thank you.
Councilmember Hampton?
Thank you, Katie. I had some clarifying questions too. So I just want to verify, so that, I guess we'll start with the fence first there. So the fence that we're talking about, that they want to do brick, so are we able to do we want to do we'll create an alley there? I mean, for 2 brick walls right there? Or the other side is the other residents, the backyards of the other
Well,
residents? Is there a fence there? It's chain link there?
Thank you, Councilmember. I don't know what's existing out there. I mean, on this side, there wouldn't be a problem with putting up block wall in areas where there isn't block wall. That shouldn't create an alley situation. And it was a little difficult to see where I was sitting and follow the conversation, but was it this side that they were wanting to
They're
put?
looking at a brick wall
This side
there.
may be a little challenging because it could block visibility. It's just hard to say on the fly, but this says it's a 30-foot easement, so there's not a major concern with creating an alley. 30 feet is
Okay.
wider than our alleys in historic Goodyear.
Well, and it would be brick wall to chain link is what we're
Mhm.
thinking for that alley. If it was the brick wall there, and can emergency vehicles get through turn appropriately into that that space there? If you use it
These
as intended?
driveways would have already been checked against the regulations for radius for fire trucks,
Okay.
yes.
Let's make sure if that's what it's intended for, it can actually be used for that. I don't think a brick wall or a chain link would make a difference. I'm just curious if that would look like. Okay. And then really that section that we're talking about, only the Ortizes are going to go in that area anyway. Them and potential fire use, or any future families that live in that area, or if the school or they sell and the school buys the property or something like that. So, but and then how does the fences work? Like, they have like a remote control, or they got to get out of their car and go move 3 fences, or
You mean the gates?
the gates. Sorry.
I'm not sure what type of gates that they're installing. I think the applicant would have to
Okay.
provide that.
I was just curious I don't know how that works if I'm living there.
I don't know what kind of gates they're providing.
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
they have to conform to our emergency regulations, so there'd be a knock box or otherwise give emergency personnel, but I'm not sure how they're giving access to the resident.
Okay, so they have the code to the box or the gate, whatever that ends up being.
Yes,
Somehow. Okay, they have
If
access
you'd
to
like
it.
to call the applicant up, you can
Well,
verify.
I'm just making sure they have. I was curious how that works. I was curious. That's more of a curiosity question. So if I'm using it, how do I get in and out?
That's a good question.
So.
That's a good question. Should be meetings.
Councilmember Hampton and Katie is correct that we would have a fire accessible gate, emergency accessible gate with dual lock setup that has Knox box on one side and shared by whatever parties control the gate on the other side. That would be true of both the one up here in the parking lot to access that and this one down here. The gate on the temporary road out to here, we would submit to whatever the Ortiz's preference is because the other 2 are going to be locked the majority of the time. And that would affect them most is just ingress and egress from 161st Avenue.
What kind of lock? What kind of gate do you propose?
Well, at a
there?
minimum would be the manual gate with the Knox box dual lock on it.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And the other thing we've suggested, it wasn't stipulated, would be a sign by that gate that says private road, no school access, that type of thing, just to take that off the table. If somebody thinks they've got a shortcut, they're not going to go that way with that signage there. I think that could save a lot of grief.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Okay. I was just curious what that would look like and feel like.
Yep.
And then going back to, this is more of a Katie and maybe the attorney question. So that easement they're talking about, that the other council members are proposing as a stipulation. So I have to make sure the clarification. So they want to put a stipulation in that we can put a permanent easement that no matter who buys it, who sells it, public school buys the whole property, that there'll be a permanent way for them to get in and out of their house.
Yeah, my understanding would be an
property.
access easement on that street to the benefit of that property that would run with the land. That's how I understand the
Okay.
easement.
And that, can we do that? Is that something we can add? we can, does the school buying it, does that supersede our easement?
No, because the easement would be recorded on the property, and it wouldn't be affected if the school converted to a charter school. The concern was
Yeah.
if it converted to a charter school, then the special use permit wouldn't apply anymore. But if you already had the easement in place, it would still benefit the property.
Okay, so they can still, so that worst case scenario that we're talking about, public school moves in, and then that still carries with the property. The person can get, whoever owns it can get in and out.
Correct.
Stipulation. And then if for some reason the Ortiz sell, and then it becomes another school or someone else, or the school wants to buy that property for some reason, then that shouldn't have any negative effects on that new owner, I would imagine either, so, okay.
Well, let me clarify that. If West Valley Christian School should end up striking a deal with the Ortizes and they gain the property, the stipulation that exists, that easement, temporary road goes away because the school is prohibited from accessing 161st Avenue. That's the purpose of that fence that was in green on there.
Mm-hmm.
So that drive would go away if it's not continued as a residential use by someone.
Okay, well, that's good, I want to be flexible. I mean,
Yep.
maybe the Ortizes stay there for more generations and generations,
yeah,
but
yeah.
you never know.
Yeah, we're looking for the win-win when we can find it, but just to clarify, the school will not use that road in any case, now or in the future.
Okay. Yeah, I'm on board with making that a stipulation where that's a permanent, or not that portion, but that there's access like you talked about. We can add that stipulation.
And I believe
Legally
the current
recorded, so
stipulations-
anybody can gather there in the future unless it flips hands or changes, they sell or something happens, so, okay. And then my other question was on, this is just a curiosity question. On 2 and 3, Katie, what's the plans for that area?
The
Or-
parcels below?
Yeah,
The
parcels 2 and 3.
The hope would be that would be future play fields, activity fields, and possibly some parking.
Okay.
But we're not, the current use for it is only overflow parking for special events.
Okay.
Yep. And actually, the city did a road project in the area, and they parked equipment on it, and so schools tried to be accommodating
Yeah.
to those other uses as well.
Yeah, I think the school's been a good
Yep.
neighbor, a good user, as far as I can tell from
Yep.
the neighbors in
But
the
you-
area there.
But we'll submit a site plan and go through the site plan approval process or site plan amendment before that gets developed in any fashion beyond what it is today.
Okay, yeah, because I pass by that every day, because I live right there, so I don't think
Okay.
I'm the only council member who lives anywhere near that area, so.
Right.
But yeah, so I know that and having that apartment complex was horrible
That
traffic,
was,
horrible traffic right there for everybody.
That was problematic for everyone in the area, but
Yeah.
especially the families.
So that's why I'm on board with Councilwoman Campbell's part about making, putting time-bound when projects get done, so, especially with traffic like that.
Yep.
Um,
And that's why we're anxious about timing. We would like to see those improvements get done this summer before the next school year. Because delivering that new lot and that additional circulation is
It will
going to
definitely help.
That's going to alleviate the problems of the past.
And is there, another question, so the access point there, is there any decel lanes or anything we're adding down there?
There
Or is it as it is?
Yeah, the westbound decel already exists.
Okay, I thought
Coming
so.
into 161st Lane.
Mhm.
Yes, that already exists.
Okay, I'm just trying to think of anything that might go there in the future. And then there's a stop, I'm sure there's a stop sign, obviously, right there too. And then, okay, I think that's it. I'm good with everything. They answered a lot of my questions. I agree with adding a stipulation for making it a permanent way to get in and out of that area. So I can, after the next person talks, I can always make that motion, so.
You done?
I'm done, thank you.
All right, Councilmember Campbell?
Okay, so what is the population of the school? What are we looking at?
I think it's around 400. I could get the director of the school. up
Okay,
here.
so we cannot compare it to Great Hearts at all.
No, ma'am.
Great Hearts has over 1,000 kids.
Yeah, no, ma'am.
So we can't say we're going to have that issue at this school. We are going to have an issue, but it's not going to be as huge.
Well, and we, as well as the traffic consultant, believe that new parking lot, those new green arrows of circulation's taken away the pains of the past and gives them a better future.
Okay. Now,
Like 3 parking
you
lots.
talked about a chain link fence that runs along.
There is an existing chain link fence on the west side of at least this southern parcel, right in through here. That exists. That was an existing
So that
condition.
when the cars come in, they'll be inside the chain link fence, basically.
No one goes
No,
down that road.
the
Well,
only
no, but
thing-
I'm
the
saying
only
they'll be
thing that-
parallel to it.
Yes, there is chain link on the east side of this that would parallel what's being requested as masonry on the other side.
Okay,
But
and they
this-
want to
but
put
that-
a
but that-
solid wall. Is that safe for the kids to have a solid wall over there?
I don't see that as an issue for them, as far as having a wall along this edge. This is a retention basin next
Okay.
to the parking lot.
Okay.
So that wall would have to run on the high side of that basin
Okay,
and just parallel to the road.
and then how tall will that wall be?
6 foot.
Okay. Now, my next question is, the road access, the map that Katie put up is reverse to what I'm used to seeing. Where is Wade Acres from this? Not just that one house.
I'm not
It's
familiar
on
with
down
that.
the road.
I'm not familiar with that subdivision name, so I couldn't tell you.
They're all up.
This way.
So
That's
north,
what I thought.
north
Okay.
is,
Then
north
that's
is,
not an issue.
north is up on both of these plans.
Okay, then that's not an issue then. There we go. And then where's the church? Where's Compass?
On the other side, right there.
Over here on the right side of 160, is this 160?
161st Avenue.
Right there, okay. Okay. All right. And my last question is, I'm assuming that on the road that you're going to have to put in, just so that they can get in and out and not be inconvenienced, we can, and it's going to have a gate with a key.
Yep.
So if they were to sell, the new owners would get the key to that gate. The
Yes,
gate
ma'am.
would go with the new owners regardless.
Yes, and this driveway, like I said, is a stipulation to our use permit, so.
Right, that's what I thought.
So it's gonna stay intact until such time as, there might be a change in hands in that parcel for
Okay.
somebody else.
Okay. Okay, that's all my questions. Thank you very much.
Vice Mayor?
Thank you. Thank you for bringing up that other slide, because I like seeing that shows the changes and the overlay, and then how that abuts up next to the Ortiz's home. And so what you're seeing, that red line from that yellow, well, they're surrounded by 3 sides
Yep.
by the school. While the school, I understand, is 400 now, and what I heard at Planning and Zoning, they expect to add another 100, but there's plenty of land there to make a big thriving school. There's a huge demand for this type of school
Yes, ma'am.
in the West Valley. So even though the growth may not all be there now, it definitely has the potential. And the block wall request is from the corner of the yellow property, which is the Ortiz, straight down to the access road. It's a short, relatively short
Yes.
amount, and that would buffer them from the parking lot and all of the things related to the school. So I agree with Councilmember Loretano. I think that would be a stipulation. So what I just like to see is for the second easement to be recorded, the stipulation to install the gate, a stipulation for the block wall in that particular area, because it is chain link on the other side, so it does not create the alley. And I liked your suggestion to stipulate a private road sign. I think that's a great idea. I'm surprised one's not up yet.
Yep.
Done? Councilmember Loretano?
Are we supposed to?
I agree with the vice mayor for those 3 stipulations. I think they should, four stipulations, but I do have one to add, because you did say something. I want to make sure you didn't either misspeak or I didn't mishear you. You said manual gate to come in.
Yes.
It would have to be an automatic gate, because they shouldn't have to get out of their car in 120 degrees every time they want to open that gate. It would have to be a keypad or a flicker.
And you're talking about just the one that's on the
Yes.
161st Avenue?
Yes. and if there's a monsoon and they want to get home, these people should not have to get out of their car. I think this is a great project to have a school there. I'm not against the school. I just want to make sure, as the mayor always says, we're in the forever business. So we want to make sure that those, so that would be the stipulation I would add with the gate to make sure that it is some sort of automatic gate that they can use without getting out of their car, because that's important. Okay?
Katie, have we captured all of those? And first of all, for the city clerk, how does that have to be, the actual motion to be added on there?
So if,
You have a main motion, so you can make a motion to amend.
Okay, make a motion to amend, and then you're
Then
gonna
you vote on
add,
the amendment.
and then throw all of those pieces on there. Have we recapped all of those? Do you have all of them?
I do.
Hold on, we got another question.
So can we make that, those stipulations, some of those stipulate, like the gate being a certain type, is that a stipulation? I'm looking at the lawyer, sorry, attorney, so. I don't know, I've never seen that ever be done, where we require a developer to put a certain type of gate. So I'm just curious what that looks like, that's all.
I don't think he's asking for a certain type, just one that's automatic.
Yeah, an automatic, I mean, you don't,
For that one
we don't do that for our firefighters, but, we don't do that for our firefighters,
Hold on.
but I'm just,
Do you have any gates, Chief, for the fire that requires you to not get out, that you have a code that you can buzz from the truck?
I'm not saying there are, I'm saying not all of them are.
But
Yeah, Paul Louisi, Fire Chief. There is several gates around the city that have the Opticom
Okay.
eye. So PD or fire could use the Opticom to activate that gate. So those are available.
Okay. Does that get your question?
I realize they're available, but I know not all gates are automatic in the city. So
No.
I've never seen on the 7 years on council that we've required that for, this is unique, but still, it's a precedent, that's all. I'm just curious.
I'm not aware of requiring a private development to provide that for a single property owner, no.
Yeah.
And I think you probably want to consider maintenance and ownership of
Yeah,
that gate.
who's going to maintain that? Is it a shared responsibility? We're creating like a gated community just for one resident, which is great for them. But I'm just curious, who bears the burden for that cost? Are we going to make it so the schools has to maintain that at all times?
You will need to specify that in your stipulation, because that's unclear at this point.
And what the cost would be and all that kind of stuff too. So usually in a private neighborhood, the HOA would all pay for the maintenance and
Well, if
control
it's
of
only
that.
serving the homeowner, wouldn't the homeowner be the one required to maintain
So
it?
I don't want to put a burden on the homeowner. I don't want to put necessarily a burden on the school forever either. So I just want to make sure we know what we're doing before we make something happen.
I think right now
Unintended
it's unclear.
consequences.
So I think council needs to specify who's going to own that gate and maintain it.
So I'm just curious. That's just one of my curiosity questions. I just want to make sure that
What do you
it
suggest?
might be a great idea, but who pays for it?
I think there's a lot of issues here that may need to be worked through, speaking to the city manager, maybe a continuance tonight so we can have some meaningful discussions with the applicant might be beneficial to everyone.
Well, my only concern is we do a continuance. We've got, number one, they want to get these improvements done before the school year.
School starts in August.
And number
yeah.
two, we only have 2 more left before we go on break, which puts them way behind at that point. So I'm hoping that we can figure this out, either that or it's got to come back real quick, because you don't want it to go on after we come back from break, if they got to make some deadlines to get the school open.
I think that's understood. I think just there's a lot of design that's happening right tonight, and maybe a week's continuance will allow staff to work with the applicant and the homeowner to maybe come to some
Unless they have a
resolution of some
proposal.
of these issues.
Let's see our proposal right now, but unless you want to work on that.
Well, if we can you bring it back in a week?
I think that,
I don't want to slow them up any
Yeah.
more than that, yes. Go ahead,
The applicant, yeah.
yes.
So do we need to amend our motion then?
No, hold on.
Let me ask some clarifying questions. Schedule is absolutely critical.
Well, I know,
to us.
that's why.
And if we're down to the last haggling point of, does the school put in an automatic gate versus a manual gate? You're killing us to take another week away from us over the summer. I would rather, I'll take a beating from the owner for me agreeing to spending the extra money, but I would rather agree to pay for, if that's the last issue we're down to, I'd rather agree to do that if I got to pay for it.
Can we get a consensus with this?
So you're saying that who would maintain that gate, I guess, forever? Would it be the school, school's willing to take that?
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
I don't think that's fair.
But its timing
They
is,
wanna do
the
it.
timing is critical here, so I don't want to hold them up for a week unless
no,
you're
the-
all willing to let them sit for another week on something they got to
Yeah,
get done.
The
to make the
overtime
school year.
cost we're going to incur to try to make up that week is going to far exceed the cost of an
That's what I kind of figure.
operating gate, okay? So whether I'm stepping over my authority or not, that's what I'm suggesting you
He's
consider.
saying he's willing to cover the cost.
Okay, if they want to maintain it forever, and that's part of it. So we're looking at
Okay.
how many stipulations?
You
We
got
have to put
4
a
or 5?
We have to put a
That's
stipulation
number
for a
fi-
sign?
Well, I
don't
think
know.
you would add the stipulation to the gate be automated.
Yeah, but I don't know if I need a stipulation to put up a private entrance sign either. But if you want to put a stipulation for a private entrance, private road sign, but this seems like
Yes.
it. Oh, okay.
I'm just concerned that we're setting a precedent that we're going to have to honor for the rest of our life and the rest of this council's life. We're giving special dispensation to a homeowner to have a gate that somebody else is going to pay for the rest of forever.
Well,
We've
here's,
never done that before.
yeah, but here's your issue, Wally. The cost of us getting off of this and getting this done versus another week in which they're going to have to pay for costs to get this thing moving forward, and they're willing to cover those costs. I don't think it's worth, at least my own opinion, it's not worth postponing this another week if we can agree on all of these except a gate.
Well, then we're just opening the door for any developer that comes in, and any private person that doesn't like the development that's coming in, they're going to want a private road and a private gate and
Well, then,
have to say, okay,
if it bothers you, just vote no.
yeah.
If
Go
I
ahead.
may. I think this is actually, the cost of these gates are not extraordinary. We've got one up north on our private road. They're not killer gates. And I don't think we're setting, I think what we're doing is we're saying, we're going to change zoning, so we're actually giving someone a benefit to do this for a very minor inconvenience to keep the people that are already there. So I appreciate you stepping forward. I think that's a good solution and everything for that, so.
Can we make an amendment, and at least, how does this work, City Clerk? We have to,
The motion to amend up on the screen, so we just need someone to actually do the motion. And then with a second, and then
Is-
you guys can vote to do the motion to amend and your.
well, I got a,
amendment
mo-
to that first motion.
okay, I got a motion on the board from Councilmember Gillis. She's clicked on.
Oh, you want to read it then? You gotta read it then.
Okay, are we ready?
Go.
So we're going to record the second easement, install 3 gates, block wall, and private road sign.
And the front gate will be.
And the front gate will be the automatic, correct?
At 161st Avenue.
At
161st
161st Avenue,
Maintained by the school.
Maintained by the school.
maintained by the school.
Forever.
Okay?
Okay, you got a motion and you got a second up there. Okay? Any further discussion? Go ahead and open it up. See, we vote.
I don't want the school to pay for it.
Passes 5-1. Thank you.
So now we need to vote on the original motion.
The original motion?
Now you just amended that first motion.
Okay.
So now you need to do vote on the first one,
What's the first motion?
which was to approve the request for a special use permit.
Okay. Do I have a motion for that?
You do.
With the new stipulations, is that correct?
Got a motion and a second. We good? Open up for speak. Open up. Passes 6-0. Thank you. I'd like to remind council to wait for a motion and a second before discussion. We have 2 items on business. First item is to authorize a budget amendment and contract for GMC Tenant Improvements Building B. Please go ahead and introduce yourself.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Steve Cinto, City Engineer. I also have Alan Smokle, our Senior Project Manager on this project with me tonight. We are seeking approval of a budget amendment and contract authorization to create a separate project for the GMCB or Courts Tenant Improvement Project. So Building B or Courts is the 3rd building that we're planning on remodeling at GMC. Council may recall that court staff discussed many of the proposed improvements at a work session back in January of this year. But just to give a quick recap of the project, the plan includes improvements to both the courts and prosecutors' offices, IT and security upgrades, as well as the reconfiguration of multiple areas of the building for more functionality. In addition, the plan includes some expansion areas to the building in order to accommodate ongoing case growth and increasing activities for courts and prosecutors' offices. So just quickly, back in September of last year when council approved the GMCD remodel, I mentioned that the estimate to construct the Building B at that time was about $1.5 million. Since then, we're estimating that we'll need an additional $981,000 for a total construction budget of $2.48 million. Should council approve tonight, we'll plan to transfer that amount out of the original GMC-TI project to create this project. And would plan to start construction next month in July and estimate we'd wrap it up by June of 2025. And just to touch briefly on the primary impacts to the project since the original estimate. First, there's been changes to the original scope, the most impactful being those building expansions I mentioned earlier. In addition, construction costs have increased across the board, so inflation, supply chain issues, et cetera, that I've spoke about previously, they have impacted this project. And finally, some of the work needs to be done, completed at off hours, so that way that to mitigate impacts to courts during their operational hours. So again, requesting a transfer of $2.48 million and contract authorization to construct the GMC Building B tenant improvement project. And now I'm available for any questions.
Thank you. Any speaker cards?
No, Mayor.
Anybody in the audience like to speak? Seeing none, will the council please enter a motion and a second to authorize the budget amendments of $2.481 million and contract for the expenditure of the construction and future fixtures and equipment funds to up to $1,920,000 for capital improvement program project number 60122, Goodyear Municipal Complex Tenant Improvements Building B. I see a motion and a second open for discussion. No questions? Seeing none, open up for vote. Passes 6-0. Thank you. Our last item is the primary and secondary tax levy for fiscal year 2025. Please go ahead and introduce yourself.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Ryan Biddle, the Finance Manager of Budget and Research at the City of Goodyear, and I'm here for the final step of the fiscal year 2025 budget process, which is the adoption of the property tax levies. There is no presentation this evening, but for those who maybe haven't followed the budget process closely, I do want to briefly walk through some of the public outreach steps that we've taken and related specifically to property taxes to get us to where we are today. We've met multiple times on various occasions to discuss the budget. This is a subsection of the budget, but a very important section. So some of those various public outreach sections related to property taxes that we've done, the levy amounts we'll be adopting tonight were included in the tentative budget presentation to Council on May 20th. Per Truth in Taxation statutory requirements, these same amounts have been posted on the city's website since May 22nd. Also on May 22nd, we did a press release that, amongst other information, included dates Truth in Taxation would be published in the newspaper. The first of those dates was May 24th, and the second of those dates was May 31st. All of our budget schedules, which include these same property tax levy amounts, have been posted in the newspaper as well, and are in other locations such as the library with the city clerk and on the city's website. And on June 10th, we held a public hearing with council on Truth in Taxation, at which point a roll call vote was taken. The property tax levy being proposed, which is unchanged from any of the various public outreach steps just mentioned, is $15,140,885 for our primary property tax and $13,237,000 for our secondary property tax, the latter of which is used to pay general obligation debt service. The two amounts combined will have an estimated property tax rate of $1.73 per $100 of assessed valuation, which is identical from the rate we had in fiscal year 2024 and has been unchanged since 2018. The adoption of Ordinance 2024-1612 for property tax levies establishes these levies, and the final item for the 2025 budget adoption. Does council have any questions?
First of all, any speaker cards?
No, Mayor.
Anybody in the audience like to speak? Will the city clerk please read ordinance number 2024-1612 by title only?
Adopt ordinance number 2024-1612, levying upon the assessed valuation of the property within the city of Goodyear, subject to primary and secondary taxation, a certain sum upon each $100, a valuation sufficient to raise the amounts estimated to be required in the annual budget for the purpose of paying for various expenses, to raise the amount estimated to be received from other sources of revenues, providing funds for various bond redemptions for the purpose of paying principal and interest upon bonded indebtedness, all for fiscal year ending the 30th day of June 2025, and directing the city clerk to record a copy of this ordinance.
Thank you. City Council, please make a motion and a second to adopt ordinance 2024-1612. I see a motion and a second on the board. Open for discussion. Councilmember Gillis.
Ryan, I just want to thank everybody. I know this has been a long process, and there's been a lot of work put into this, and I appreciate everything everybody's been doing. It's come to us and gone back and come to us, and I just say thank you for your time. Thank you, Wynette. Thank you, everybody, for everything you guys have been doing. We appreciate getting it down to the brass tacks for us, for the homeowner, for everyone. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And as you had mentioned in there, our combined rate stays the same. Our policy is always maximize the primary and allow it with the secondary, which pays for our debt service, to not go over that $1.73 or whatever. The question, you may not have the answer right here, I'm hoping you do, is there's a lot of different pieces when it comes to our property tax. And the city's portion, both primary and secondary, of the entire actual amount. Any idea what that probably is percent-wise?
The exact amount varies year to year, but it typically falls in the about 12% of your entire property tax
Okay,
bill, 10
so-
to 15% roughly.
Okay, so 88%?
Is non-city of Goodyear
Is non-city
related.
stuff on there. So just for the public out there that is not familiar with that actual bill that you get there, the city tax, and the only thing we can use for day-to-day operation is primary. The rest is paying debt service. You take that out, it's even less than that. So again, I just mention that for the public that's out there, is the tax bill you get, very, very small portion of it is city, very small portion. All right, with that, can you go ahead and open up the voting? Passes 6-0. Thank you very much, and I appreciate all the hard work that's gone into this. All right, does anybody on council have comments, commendations, or reports on current events or requests for future items? Let me look to my right, see anything? Look to my left. Go ahead, Sherry.
I told the fire chief this before. I want to thank him and the whole department for doing an excellent the girls' fire camp. I'm sure we'll get to see the videos of that soon. My best friend's daughter participated, and every day when I came to work, I got to hear about how great it was. They had women mentors. There were women who showed them what they could do in the field and just how wonderful a program it was. And they had them do real stuff. This was not fluff. This was like very wonderful. So I want to say thank you and let everyone know in the department, thank you for this unique program.
Vice Mayor?
Well, I'm sure this is going to be in the city manager's comments about what the attendance was, but Juneteenth was just a fabulous event, very well attended, having used the inside and the outside area. So many positive comments from visitors. It was very honoring and a great celebration. Goodyear's really making a mark with this event.
Oh, thank you, yeah. Well, I'm sure I'm going to get the numbers because there's quite a few people there, but go ahead.
Thank you, Vice Mayor and Mayor. Yes, we had a tremendous attendance. According to Nathan's calculations, we're about 4,000 individuals there, so we have grown tremendously. Staff has done a great job. We appreciate everyone's involvement from police and fire and Parks and Recreation to help support this important event, and they moved it outdoors and indoors, so there was overflow and room for everyone to move around. And if I could just take 1 minute to brag on our employees, we have a couple announcements.
Okay.
We have Chris Virgo from the Goodyear Telecommunications Supervisor who received the 2023 Arizona Association of Public Safety Communications Officials National Emergency Number Association Supervisor of the Year. So I just
awesome.
want to brag on that. And then we also had three employees recently graduated from ASU Certified Public Managers Program, and that's Shauna Henry, our telecommunications manager, Ed Paul, Deputy Fire Chief, and our own Jasmine Pernicano. Pernicano, Deputy City Clerk. I just thank you for the opportunity to brag a little bit on employees.
Okay. And also, just to piggyback on what the Vice Mayor said at the Juneteenth event, everybody was bragging how Goodyear takes the lead on all of this. Nobody puts a show on like we do when it came to the celebration. No city that I know of in the valley.
We're
did
the
what we
best.
did. So, well, again, I always like us to be the leader, not the follower. So we got that going for us. So with that, the next meeting is going to be July 1. And we got one more after that, right? And then we go on break. So, no further business, meeting's adjourned.